Oh no, not sales. Not a sales role. No. Please no. Not anything but sales. Anything. Sales is one of those things that a lot of people find tough. And a lot of people fear. Just the word sales sends shivers down people's spines sometimes, especially if they've never been in a sales role. But actually, sales is a lot less complicated than people realise. It's also not what it was back in the day when Trotter was selling fluffy dogs out of a suitcase down the Peckham High Road. If you are too young to remember Only Fools and Horses, then I really am sorry for that reference. If you're not and you're an Only Fools fan, but it's not that. But I think a lot of people have that fear because of that generation of watching people down the market or watching traders in the in the stock exchange, or the hard phone sales, or convincing people to buy things that they probably don't really want, and that's what people's perception of sales is. And if that was sales, I'd be scared of it too, but it's not. So what we're going to do today is break down 5 key, and there's lots, but we're going to break down 5 key areas that I think will help anyone that's either new to sales, wants to be better at sales, or just outright fears the word sales. So we'll start off with number 1. Okay, so usually in these videos, and in pretty much every other walk of life, I'm saying to people, be yourself. Don't put on an act. Don't do anything that isn't you and 100% you. With sales, however, as much as I wouldn't want you to not be you, there is an element of making sure that you are mirroring your audience. So yes, you have to have character. Yes, you have to have personality. And it has to be your own personality as well. No one wants to be sold to by a robot. Hello, my name is John. What would you like to buy? Would you like it now? Over there to the till. I will take your money from you. And that's the mistake a lot of people make, especially in these organisations that have got a sales script. Oh my lord. If you have a sales script, run for the hills, leave the company, don't ever talk to them again. Honestly, anyone that's got a sales script, it needs to go. So yes, you want to be relatable, you want to have character, but you have to mirror your audience. And what I mean by that is, if Danny Dyer tries selling to the Queen and he talks like Danny Dyer at the pace that Danny Dyer wants to talk at, the chances are he's not going to convert. As a salesperson, you have to understand and appreciate the tone of voice that your customer uses, the pace that they want to work at, the pace that they speak, the pace that they process information. If you notice very early on that your customer is a very, very methodical type person, and they like to process the things you're saying, they speak very slowly in terms of their questioning. If you go at them with a real fast-paced, high-energy sales pitch, kind of that's completely alien to anyone that they normally deal with or anyone that they relate to.
Now listen, you're going to buy this today. It's full of features you ain't going to use. I haven't asked you what you want, but it's 2 for 1. I'm going to give you the best discount you've ever had. I'm going to put it in your car now. You're going to go home and you're going to love it. And you're going to come back tomorrow and you're going to thank me. Is that all right?
Then you're going to lose them very quickly. In the same way that if you deal with someone that wants to work at high energy, is a real high energy type customer or client if you're B2B, and they love to talk and they love to chat and they work at pace, and you can tell that they want to find a resolution to their problem really quickly, and you're very slow and methodical, you take long pauses, chances are that person's going to get really bored, and again the sale's going to break down. So yes, show your character, yes, be relatable, have a personality, don't be robotic, but don't lose sight of the audience that you are trying to sell to, and make sure you mirror their behaviours, their mannerisms, their tone of voice, and their pace. Okay, so like we said right at the start of the video, a lot of people fear the word sales, just the pure word sales, because of an outdated view on what sales actually is. Trotter, I might mention him again in this video. If you're an Only Fools fan, I'm probably going to keep you to the end. If you're not, well, I accept you might drop off, but big Only Fools fan, I'm going to mention him. Fear is something that holds many people back from accepting that actually they could be very good at sales. And I'm going to reference my wife here. And guys that are watching, you may be able to relate to this. My wife hates the word sales. If ever you suggested to my wife a sales job, she would run a mile. However, I challenge that she sells to me every single day. Every time I go onto the Amazon basket and there's something new in there that I didn't put in there. Oh, what's she buying now? I didn't even know you could get £200 air dryers. She wants something new for the house. She wants something new for the boys. Something that I wouldn't have picked or even cared about. Half an hour later, I'm on board with it. Why? Because she sold it in. Now, some would argue I've been an easy sell because I just want an easy life. But money's still money, and very often she's selling this product into me because she wants it, she's passionate about it. It means something to her to actually get this product on our shelf or in our kitchen or whatever it might look like. So I would challenge that she's selling to me all the time. The difference is she's selling in her own way and something that she's passionate about. And we'll come on more onto that in a minute in terms of actually believing in the product or service that you're selling. So yes, selling can be scary if your perception of it is that of an outdated kind of stock exchange, down the market, hardcore furniture retail, trying to convince people to buy things they don't need. But actually, like we said before, sales isn't that. And when you believe in what you're selling and you can do it without a script and it is just two people having a conversation, then sales can actually be quite rewarding and the fear just goes. You know, it still amazes me how many people go into a sales environment. They either go to a customer or they call a customer or they approach a customer in any way and they don't fully understand their product. They think that they're just going to get by on pure sales ability. Well, what is sales ability? The ability to convince someone to buy something that they don't actually need or want. Well, I've got news for you. Customers are more educated now than they've ever been. So when customers come to you, they already know a lot about your product or service. If you can't even match their knowledge level, you're stuffed. Absolutely stuffed. The other reason knowing your product and its value is so important is because that will come across in your sales pitch. Well, it's the best, the very best. How do I know? Well, it says it there on the label. If you are super confident in the product or the service, the features, the way that's going to benefit your customers, you genuinely believe in it, whether you'd use it or not is irrelevant. Not everyone can sell things that they would personally use themselves, but you have to understand the features and benefits and how they will best serve the customer and understand that it's a good product and believe that it's a good product. And you can only do that if you know it back to front. When you get all that right, the customer then buys into your knowledge, they buy into you because you know about that product and they can tell that it's not rubbish or just something that you've made up. They can tell it's not scripted because very often customers will put questions to you about the product, and if it was scripted, you wouldn't be able to answer them. So having a detailed knowledge of your product or service is so important. And yes, it's going to take you time to go away and research it and you might even have to do it in your own time. Tough. If you want to make more sales, you have to know your product. So when I say shut up and let the customer talk, that's pretty much the same with everything that I do. So whether it's management, leadership, posting on social media, I've even done videos about building social media followings, which you can see just up there. It's so important that you don't just reel off a load of old rubbish about the products that you sell before you actually understand what the customer wants. Within that relationship that you and your customer are about to build, it has to be based on them doing most of the talking. What you're trying to achieve here is that you're trying to get them to open up to you about their life, about the need for the product, about the want for the product. Why do they need it right now? Or when do they need it for? Get to know them and their lifestyle, because then you can use that to tailor your pitch, to tailor the offering of the product or service that you put in front of them. Salespeople have a terrible habit of just reeling off all of their features and benefits without actually knowing whether they fit for that particular customer or not. So within that relationship of you and customer, get used to doing less talking. Identify need, identify want, understand lifestyle, really get to know that customer by getting them to open up to you about their life and by you asking those probing questions, but then let that conversation flow and let them lead. Very often when you do that, there's no convincing needed from your side. You're not convincing the customer at all. The more they talk about their life and the more they then match their current lifestyle to the product you've put in front of them, they end up convincing themselves. So this is still the thing that, regardless of whether you get those previous 4 things right, this is the thing that everyone struggles with. I say everyone. 99% of people in sales roles still struggle with asking for money. One thing you have to remember when someone comes into your place of business, whether it's in person or whether it's on the phone or in any way that you have a physical contact with a potential customer or client, if they've allowed you to get this far, so you've covered off the 4 previous bases, you've really got to know that person, you've understood exactly the why and the need, and you've tailored your product or service to their circumstances. If they've allowed you to get that far, they expect you to ask for the money. So I assume you'd like to go home, have a think about it, chat it over with your family, cup of tea, give it a few days. No? You want to buy it now? They expect it. Assume that they are buying now. The second it enters your head that they may go away and have a think about it because it's a lot of money to commit to, or it's a big decision, if you are thinking that, they will think that. And that is all the opportunity they need to go away and give it some time. And we all know what happens when people go away and give it some time. They get back to their house, they talk themselves out of it, something else happens in life that's going to cost them some money, and this thing that you've just spent the last hour talking to them about is less of a priority than it was when they were with you. So asking for the sale on the day and using assumptive language that assumes they're going to buy now is critical. If you're talking about a physical product, very, very easy to keep the customer with that product at all times. Furniture salespeople do this brilliantly because they talk and they establish this relationship with their customer while sitting near or on the piece of furniture that customer is looking to buy. And what that's doing, every time that customer is looking around, they're seeing this lovely 3-piece suite, or they're seeing this lovely dining room, table and chairs, or they're seeing this lovely oak sideboard that they want to buy. And all the time they're seeing it and visualizing it, they're thinking about it in their home. And gradually they're realizing they can't live without it. Same for car salesmen. They will build that relationship and that rapport while standing next to or sitting in the car that the customer is looking to buy for exactly the same reason. So it gets to the point where that customer can't live without it. The next thing you need to do is validate everything you've just come up with. So the whole conversation that you've just had, that whole identifying the need of the customer, why they want it, their lifestyle, their background, tailoring the product, building rapport because you've been yourself, but you've mirrored the customer. Now you have to validate all that. And the reason you validate it is so that you can say, there's nothing more to do here, Mr. Customer or Mrs. Customer. Let's go and start the paperwork. Or, do you need me to confirm any further details today before we get this signed off? Or however you want to word that final piece. It might be that they have to sign a load of paperwork. It might be that they simply have to go to the till and pay you some money. Mr. Customer, is there anything more you need me to validate for you or confirm before I wrap this up and put it in your car for you to take home? Use that assumptive language. People expect you to sell to them. They expect you to ask for the money. The second you don't, or you assume or you think that they are going to go away and think about this, they will. And 9 times out of 10, you've lost it. No, I'm not taking your money. I insist you go home, you think about it. I know I run the risk of you talking yourself out of it, but that's the way we do things here. We don't like asking for money. I insist. No, I will not take the money. So there you go. 5 really easy things to follow. Not easy necessarily to get right because everyone's different, but easy things to follow. Measurable things that will result in more success. Now I agree, some scenarios are different. If you're dealing with people online, it's very difficult to try and build that rapport and that relationship. I think really the main thing with this video, it is tailored towards that personal sales interaction. And hopefully when COVID jogs on, we can get back to that personal relationship between seller and buyer in whatever form that looks like, because I think that is a major piece that's missing, that human connection, which makes a huge difference in sales. If you haven't already done so, I'd really appreciate it if you'd subscribe just up there. And I've also put another video you might like just over there. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.